Hey, good morning, my friend. Good to be with you again. Welcome to the after show with yours truly. So good to have you here. Try to use the after show to pick up on stories either I didn't have time to cover during the radio show this morning, or events that are new and happening. But I'm really, really grateful to have you here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So let's get underway. The secrets are again. I'm just amazed that there are so many legacy media sources that are ignoring Kimberly Cheadle's testimony yesterday. It was just disastrous testimony that she gave in front of the House of Representatives. So now today, the House Committee on Homeland Security holding a hearing that just got underway at a little after 9 a.m. this morning. So, and there are already stories that are coming out of that. Um, I want to make sure I flipped through some of these fairly quickly. Um, the A lot of this is forgive me. I think I need to go back a little further than I thought. Yeah, the House Homeland Security Committee hearing is underway. So they started the Colonel Christopher Paris, who is the commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police, and Patrick Yose, the national president of the FOP, have been called by lawmakers to testify. Yesterday, Kimberly Cheadle's um, testimony was just an absolute disaster. I'd welcome your thoughts on that, by the way. We talked about it on the air a little bit this morning, but I mean, seriously, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you should just be able to look at that and say the unwillingness of those who work in the federal government to be forthcoming is a real demonstration of what kind of trouble the country is in. I mean, I wish I could put a I wish to be an optimist, but we have some forces that are in control in Washington right now, and it's really, really troubling. And Kimberly Cheadle would be a great example. You know, she sat up there for several hours yesterday, really didn't provide any answers, despite the fact that she had promised that we're going to get to the bottom of this and we will get the facts. And we don't want to encourage any speculation. You know, so one of the things we can do to try to, you know, get out in front of that speculation is to provide facts. And then yesterday, she provided none. There were no facts yesterday provided by Kimberly Cheadle. It was just absolutely incredible. Representative Mark Green of Tennessee is the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, and he opened the hearing this morning saying uh, this this is updating right in front of me. Here we go. This failed attempt on President Trump's life demands urgent and comprehensive congressional oversight. We must understand how it happened to ensure that changes are made so this never happens again. I appreciate that. I would like to believe that there could be changes made so that it will never happen again. How far does this government have to go to be able to demonstrate that we have changes now that are in place so that this never happens again? And I've got to say, it's really disturbing when we have directors like Kimberly Cheadle who show up in front of members of Congress yesterday, both Democrats and Republicans, who are demanding answers, who are demanding a resignation, and she just blows it off. She just continues. You know, her boss, Alejandro Mayorkas, is exactly the same way. We got some serious problems in Washington. And then, you know, I appreciate that there are folks who are trying to be level headed with respect to Senator Mike Rounds, South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds, who I like. I like Senator Rounds. I respect Senator Rounds. But when he's out there saying, well, you know, we need to be calm and you know what? A lot of us are just pissed off. You know, a lot. I appreciate that you want us to be calm. We're angry. We have Donald Trump, who was nearly killed. And it's just absolutely continues to be amazing to me that he wasn't. I honestly believe that was a hand of God. That was a hand of God that was protecting Donald Trump. But so, you hope then it's preserving America, but preserving America for what? For more of this? For more Kimberly Cheatles to deny giving answers? And it's incredibly frustrating. And so, yeah, I'm going to be angry about it. It doesn't mean I'm going to go around and, but yeah, I'm going to be angry about it. And I'm going to demand that we get some answers. And if we don't get answers and we don't see meaningful change, then yeah, it's not as if, and I'm not suggesting we rise up and take up arms and so on, but believe me, there will be a response, I think, coming from folks who are upset with this. So yeah, I think we're going to try to let's be calm, let's be measured, but let's also get some answers. Let's also have a government and people in it. And you saw this yesterday, and this is where, I mean, seriously, I felt for members of Congress and the frustration that they were feeling when Cheadle would evade, continually evade, and they couldn't get answers, and you saw their growing anger about it. Well, how do you think we feel? I mean, that's how you and I feel all the time. And it was interesting that you saw it coming from both Democrats and Republicans. So is this again? House Democrats have introduced a bill that would strip Secret Service protection from convicted felons sentenced to prison, a move directly targeting former President Trump. And who is it? It's Representative Benny Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi again. So you just see this kind of nonsense repeatedly, just crazy. Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner reveals how many officers were at the Trump rally. He said, our role was to support the Secret Service. They had 32 members. Our responsibility consisted of 32 members. We had two main responsibilities: a motorcade operation for the transportation with the Secret Service, former President Trump, as well as manning and staffing security posts inside the secure area of the Butler County Farm Show. That was their responsibility. Hey, this is breaking news a minute ago. Kimberly Cheadle has just resigned. Kimberly Cheadle has just resigned. She resigned following, and that's brand new. That's breaking. So moments ago, Kimberly Cheadle resigning. You heard it here first, my friends. So that's going to be a big story. Kimberly Cheadle has resigned. As well she should. Just absolutely incredible. Let's see what other stories. That's going to be the huge one this morning. The Trump campaign grappling with the new political reality, says The Hill, because Donald Trump was fully prepared to face Joe Biden. Now it's going to be Kamala Harris. So this will shake up the race. There was a comment from Sean Spicer here. Remember Sean Spicer, former White House press secretary? Spicer said, the dynamic has shifted, but this is still Trump's race to lose. But the quicker that we come to the realization that she is the opponent, Kamala Harris, he said, the better. So let's come to the realization that Kamala Harris is our opponent, not Joe Biden. The quicker we do that, the better. Got to agree with Sean Spicer on that. Also, Kamala Harris and her campaign are vetting vice presidential candidates. There's one name that is not on the list. That's Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. He was on CNN and he said he had not been asked to submit anything to the Harris campaign. So Andy Beshear apparently is not on the list. Those that are include Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I would not be surprised if she's the choice. Two females. I think Governor Kristi Noem has been right about that. Two females. I would not be surprised if it's Gretchen Whitmer, but also Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz are apparently all on the list. Also, Elise Stefanik, we're getting some continued reaction then coming from Republicans. What happened with the, Kimberly Cheadle and her testimony yesterday. Elise Stefanik says backroom donors, Democrat elites, and their stenographers in the mainstream media. I love that. Stenographers in the mainstream media conspired in this direct attack on democracy by successfully forcing out the candidate who secured the necessary votes to serve as the general election candidate. She said this on X. I want to get the rest of this comment. She said, as I have consistently said, it is the Democrat Party and elected Democrats who are attacking democracy. They're disenfranchising the votes of 14 million voters in the Democrat primary, all because they hid Joe Biden's unfitness for office and now are reaping the deserved plummeting polls. So that is a reaction from Elise Stefanik. Also, Jill Stein, who is the Green Party candidate. Jill Stein accused Biden of being removed from power by the same anti-democratic forces that rigged the field for him in 2020 and skipped the primary to anoint him in 2024, she said. And she went on. Let's some of the headlines this morning over at justthenews.com. They've got a story. When Kamala Harris was put in charge of past jobs, scandal and failure often followed. Unfortunately, it seems to be true of a number of Democrats. That's one of the that's the lead story this morning at justthenews.com. So Kamala Harris ran offices as a California prosecutor and senator. Harris was widely criticized as California Attorney General for failing to take on prosecutorial misconduct. In fact, her office was called out by judges for defending convictions obtained by local prosecutors who had inserted false confessions, lied under oath, and withheld evidence. So, in other words, that's the record of Kamala Harris. That's her record. Other headlines at justthenews.com this morning. Biden 2.0. Harris to face attacks on White House's record that she defended. Yeah. Again, remember, Kamala Harris was the border czar. I mean, the president had said, okay, we're going to put Kamala Harris in charge of what's going on at the border. How'd she do? How would you rate the job that Kamala Harris did on the border? Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, I don't think it matters. As Americans, we want a safe and secure border. We want a safe country. Is that what we've seen? It's just, again, the truth is so obvious to so many of us. And the fact that others will just deny it, hide it, and look the other way, it's just absolutely incredible. I don't know that there's ever been a time like this in our country before. So that's really all I've got. And again, the big story now, it's breaking news this morning that Kimberly Cheadle has resigned today. Given her testimony yesterday, I did not think she would resign. I just absolutely did not believe that she would resign. And I talked about that on the air this morning. So that's a big story. Let's see, there's more here. No, I don't know. Pretty much. Yeah, news of Cheadle's resignation first reported by the Associated Press. So she's resigned, and I don't know that she had any other option. I mean, I don't know if Alejandro Mayorkas got to her and said, "Yeah, it's time. You got to go." But it was just absolutely incredible. So we'll talk about that story certainly in more detail tomorrow. I didn't see that coming. I thought she would stay put. Nobody from this administration resigns. Really, I mean, we've not seen anybody from this administration who has resigned. So I honestly thought she would just absolutely ride it out for as long as she could. So, yeah, Steve, let me know. Yeah, and I agree, Steve, she should have been fired. No question. She should have been fired. She should have, honestly, I would have immediately gathered some of the details of the assassination of the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, and then resigned. Said, honestly, I cannot move forward. The Secret Service cannot move forward under my leadership. I mean, that was clear to me some time ago. The fact that it took her this long, who's going to be looking to hire her moving forward? Oh, it's crazy. The Luke asked, has Kamala done anything? Everything that we've seen has not been good, Luke. I mean, it's not been good. But Democrats are all in this, it's more about the party rather than content. And as a Republican, I never want to be more about the party than about content and facts and ignoring events. You got to, when you have to start closing your eyes to certain events, you got to take a look at your party if they're encouraging you to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right? I don't want to do that. I can't imagine that many of you do either. But the federal government in particular, that just seems to be, Kamala Harris. And I was just amazed. Again, I thought the big story this morning, it's the reason I spent a lot of time on it during the show this morning, was Kimberly Cheadle's testimony yesterday in front of the House Accountability Committee. And there was no accountability. And you got Democrats who were saying she ought to resign. Republicans who were saying she ought to resign. They're calling on her right on the spot. You should resign. In no uncertain terms. They made it very, very clear. And she just sat there and didn't have answers. And again, I'm just blown away by that, because when Congress then is having a hearing, what would you do? You're being called into the boss's office. What do? Let's say at your company, something that you were supposed to oversee went wrong, or there were issues, and the boss wants to see you, and let's have a meeting. What would you do? You would gather material, give the best overview you could, right? I mean, she did none of that yesterday. And the arrogance of that is just, to me, it's breathtaking. I just sat there and I thought, you cannot be kidding me. And then to refuse to, honestly, I'm shocked that she has resigned. I didn't think she would. Nobody in this administration has resigned. And I did not think she would. So the fact that she has, I don't know, she must have some semblance of a conscience that is working on her. since that testimony yesterday, and the fact that it took almost 24 hours for her to resign, she should have done it yesterday, right? She should have began her opening argument or opening statement rather by saying, you know, today I intend to tender my resignation, and now let me answer your questions. Something like that. I would have more respect for her if she had done it that way. But to do it almost 24 hours later, now she resigns. David said so many are, calling for restrictions on our Second Amendment rights. Yeah, there were a number of members of Congress yesterday who did that. Some who were talking about, including the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, who was doing that. And this is why, there were some who were saying they couldn't watch the testimony yesterday. And I would say, admittedly, you have to sweat some crap when you watch this stuff. When you're watching, you've got Democrats and Republicans, and they alternate. So Republicans begin, then a Democrat, and then it's back to Republicans and another Democrat. So admittedly, there are those on the other side who are spewing some crap. And in order to get to the meat of what's going on in the committee hearing, you've got to have some patience. Really, you do. It requires some patience. And depending on the day, this is where I feel, for those who said, oh, I couldn't watch it, 5 minutes in, I was out. I got to get out. I can feel, depending on the day, it depends as to whether I can sit through that or not. Depends on my mood any particular day. So I understand how you feel. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, the ranking member today used his opening statement to call for. I can't see the whole thing here. Forgive me. This is my. Let me see if I change the. Calling for more restrictions. That's what Steve said. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Coming up tomorrow on the Greg Belfrage Show, I'll have more of a deep dive into the hearing that's taking place this morning. But Kimberly Cheadle has resigned. I think many will view that as good news and a much. Now, again, who a new Secret Service director will be under Joe Biden. Do you expect there will be any change with a new Secret Service director under this administration? Do you expect there will be any change? I'd love to get your thoughts on that. So, that in the comments on this. So that's a quick look at events that are happening or have transpired here in the last 30 minutes. Thank you so much for letting me join you. Please give this video a like or a dislike. I appreciate your reaction. And if you will let others know, if there are folks that who happen to listen to the Greg Belfrage Show, let them know about what we're doing on social media. I really appreciate your help. I kind of need you to give me a little push, and it's very, very much appreciated. We'll do it again tomorrow. Again, I thank you. So I can't do this without you. So your reactions, your emails, your phone calls, and your eyes. There are those who don't react, who watch, who listen to the radio show, but they never call the program. That's the overwhelming number of people who don't ever pick up the phone. It's one of the reasons I make such a deal when I get a first-time caller. I make such a ballyhoo about it is because most folks won't. They listen, some religiously, but they never call the program. So the fact that you're here, very, very much appreciated. Hope you have a great Tuesday. You take care. So long until tomorrow, my friend, and may God bless.